My name is Eirun Jónsdóttir. I'm VP of Publishing of CCP Games.
How does it feel to be here at FanFest 2023 with so much behind you, so much to show, and so much coming in the near future?
I was on stage yesterday delivering this. The feeling I had there was super excited for the future and super proud as well. I mean, coming out of COVID, like there's been a lot of projects I've been working on that have been have had their ups and downs throughout the years, but now it's really coming together. I think it's going to be a very exciting third decade for EVE, absolutely.
We saw the next expansion, EVE Online Havoc. We saw EVE Vanguard, the first-person shooter that's going to be connected to the main game. We saw CCP Shanghai's tease of Galaxy Conquest on the mobile devices. And even just outside of that keynote, we're seeing stuff like the board game with Titanforge. How do you manage so much at once as you move forward?
I mean, we have great teams, of course, that are working on this. We have a team in London who's doing the EVE Vanguard experience, and then the team here in Iceland who are doing the EVE Online. And then we do partner with great partners. I think that's the key in all of this as well, like finding partners like Titanforge to do the board game with us, and then tapping into the creativity and passion that we have in the community. I mean, there's a huge part of this as well that is coming directly from the players in the community. Like we have a member of the player base participating in developing the board game. We had T Amber as well, who is doing the shipskins as well. So like there's a lot of energy, and we want to do more of that, like tapping more into the community and powering the players to build out the experience with us. And yeah, exactly.
With such a huge fan base and such a huge player base, so passionate about this game and its universe, how do you decide, like, what projects do you say yes to, what projects do you say no to, who do you partner with, and how?
I mean, we have, it kind of depends on which level. We have for EVE, we have of course a lot of suggestions and great feedback from the community. A lot of that is trickled in through the player council, the Council of Stellar Management. We get a lot of support and feedback from them in terms of like direction and ideas and suggestions on what we can do. And we have an internal process as well to digest all of that and make sure what we're doing is fitting to the overall vision we have for the game, and then that it aligns with the strategy kind of that we have in place. And then on the grander maybe CCP level as well, we try to just adjust it to our vision and strategy there as well, to make sure we're doing the right things for the community, but still, yeah, like we want to expand the experience. Like we want to make sure we have offerings to a wider audience base than what we currently have. So we're starting to tap into that a bit more with like taking EVE to mobile, like having experiences like board games. So more can take part in this amazing community.
Player base is such a huge part of the direction of EVE. Like the devs have mentioned how a big part of it is not like driving the narratives themselves, but more like giving the community the toys and the sandbox to play with and letting them decide where the direction goes from there. How do you sort of remain dynamic around that mentality where not just when the community responds positively to something, but also if they respond negatively, or if they just find themselves not interested in something?
There is or has always been a part of the community that is interested, absolutely. So we have the luxury problem of our players really care. Even if they don't always agree with what we're doing, I think that the way we look at it is that it's because of their passion for the game that they're stating what they think about it. I think if we would see times when like nobody is commenting on what we're doing or giving us feedback, like that would be the scary time. It's okay not to agree, because like they're just showing their passion for the game through having opinions on how it should be. So we consider that being a positive thing, even though it's not always a positive comment. It's still they care. Like that's the key thing.
And another one of the key elements that feels like it's in play at like the core of nearly everything that we see with EVE is all kind of links back to the main like experience in some way, EVE Online. EVE Vanguard is going to have parts of it that are going to be affected by EVE Online or affect EVE Online. And similarly, like Galaxy Conquest isn't just kind of like a 4X skin of EVE. It's actually like incorporating elements of EVE Online to make sure that it stays close to like the identity of that thing. Is it a challenge for the teams that work on this to make sure that like that identity shines through in every project you do?
I think it's a challenge and an opportunity as well, because it's all connected through the EVE universe. EVE Galaxy Conquest is not the EVE Online experience on mobile. It's a 4X strategy game on mobile set in the EVE universe, which of course like needs to be connected in the backstory and all that. And there are like ways to do that very elegantly. But then also it has opportunities as well, because then you have the strong like visual identity. You have the like the spaceships, the space stations, and everything that you can then play around with, and then also the strong social identities that we have through having had EVE for 20 years, which will then likely trickle over to a mobile game as well, where you will have groups of players that want to form their own corporations and alliances, like in another EVE game as well. So I think it's more of an opportunity.
One of the things that was interesting to talk about with the brand directors was how you kind of have to roll with the roll with the punches in a way of like the devs left the breadcrumbs for Havoc, right? Yeah. They left they put the clues in there for the Stargates, and there was this expectation that it may take weeks or even across a month for the players to find it, and then they found it in 4 days. Yeah. And how do you like operate around a player community that's just so passionate that they can turn months of planning into a few days of work?
It's a luxury problem, absolutely. Like you just need to be prepared, like that it will happen sooner than what you actually think. We're seeing the same thing with the product discovery classifications. Like we have huge data sets of samples that need to be classified, and the like scientific partners we're working with, they're like, yeah, this is going to take the players years to go through. We'll be all set, and then like, sorry, you're going to have to give us more. They already gone through it. Okay, let's go through it again to make sure. Like so, like EVE players are extremely dedicated, and they can solve complex problems at an amazing speed, and it just speaks to the we tend to say we have the absolutely best gaming community out there, and I think like this is another example of that. Like, yeah, it's really one of a kind.
How do you feel about the future as we approach these projects, where in each of their launches, whether it's Havoc, whether it's Vanguard, whether it's Conquest?
Extremely excited. I think like we are at a bit of a tipping point or like a huge milestone for CCP, when we are kind of coming out of like all the hard work that has been happening over the last months and years, and are finally able to kind of bring it out to the players. And yeah, it's a proud moment, and we're excited for the third decade. Absolutely.
Is there anything in particular that you yourself are super particularly excited about as you look forward?
I think there are a lot of things, absolutely. What I really want to start pushing a bit more now that we're entering the third decade is to find ways of bringing more female gamers into EVE. I think that's where we're a bit lacking at the moment, and that's something that I want to turn my personal focus to in the kind of upcoming months and years to have it a bit more of a balanced community.